Hello everyone, how are you all? I hope every one of you are fine, safe, and secure. Welcome to your YouTube channel, Gurumantra Siksha Kagran. I am your educator Saranya, and today our topic is cell organelles and its functions, part 2. The part 1, which we saw in the previous video, the previous lecture was about the part 1 of the cell organelles, where we discussed about few of the important cell organelles and its function, and this is the continuation video where we are going to see the rest of the cell organelles and its functions. So the first organelle which we are going to discuss is mitochondria. Mitochondria is a membrane-bound organelle. It is present in the cytoplasm of almost all eukaryotic cells. So basically, mitochondria is a membrane-bound organelle. It is present in the cytoplasm region of all the eukaryotic cell. It is the powerhouse of the cell which produces ATP. We have been studying from our school that mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, and ATP is the energy currency of the cell. This we have been studying from the school itself. So we know mitochondria makes the ATP which is useful for various day-to-day activities in our life. It also stores calcium for cell signaling activities. It can generate heat and mediate cell growth and death. The number of mitochondria per cell varies. So the number of mitochondria varies from cell to cell based on the requirement of the energy. If a cell requires more energy for its survival, for its maintenance, then it will have more mitochondria. If a cell does not require so much of energy, it will have limited number of mitochondria within it. So for example, erythrocytes or the red blood cells as we call, it does not have mitochondria at all. This red blood cell, the matured form, does not have nucleus also because it does not want to spend energy in replication, or it does not want to spend energy in anything else. Its only function is for transportation of oxygen. So it just focuses on only that. It does not require any mitochondria. But the cells like liver cells and muscle cells, they have hundreds of mitochondria because they are energy requiring cells. These cells require lots and lots of energy for the functioning of cells. Mitochondria are unlike other cellular organelles in that they have two distinct membranes. So mitochondria has two membranes. One is the outer membrane, the other is the inner membrane. They are saying that mitochondria is different from other cellular organelles because it has two different types of membranes. The two membranes are different. They are not the same kind of membrane. The outer membrane and the inner membrane are different in its structure as well as in its function. It has a unique genome, which means mitochondria has its own DNA and it reproduces by the binary fission. So all of these features tell us that mitochondria is similar to the prokaryotes, which means they share a evolutionary connection. They share a evolutionary connection that mitochondria and prokaryotes are little bit similar. Also, there is a theory that a eukaryotic cell has engulfed a prokaryotic cell, and the prokaryotic cell survived to become the mitochondria. So mitochondria stores caspases, which are nothing but helpful in the apoptosis. This is a very important statement. You should know that apoptosis is carried out by mitochondria because students often get confused with apoptosis to lysosomes. So apoptosis is only involved in mitochondrial function. It is not at all a function of lysosome. So remember this. And these mitochondria are able to transiently means temporarily, store calcium. They can store calcium and help in the calcium homeostasis. So this is the picture of a mitochondria where it is a outer membrane which is highly permeable, and the inner membrane, it is highly convoluted into so many different folds in order to increase the surface area, because the inner mitochondrial membrane is a region where so many different types of reaction occurs. If it is highly convoluted, then the surface area will be more, and if the surface area is more reactions can occur. If you have more space, then you can do so many work in that space. Similar concept is applied here. We have studied the structure of mitochondria before and we know where the different reactions happen. For example, the pathway of tricarboxylic acid cycle happens in the matrix. This is the matrix, and the oxidative phosphorylation happens in the electron transport chain, that is in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Okay, so this structure we have already discussed in detail itself. So mitochondria are shaped perfectly to maximize their productivity. So productivity is their work. Their workload has to be perfect. They have to produce so many ATPs, and for their productivity, the shape is perfect. They are made of two membrane. One is outer membrane, which is highly permeable. The second one is the inner membrane, which is folded so many times. It is highly convoluted and it creates layers, and we call these layers as cristae. The fluid that is present in the mitochondria, that is this blue color region. Can you see this blue color region? This is called as matrix. This is called as mitochondrial matrix. The folding of the inner membrane increases the surface area inside the organelle. This we have already discussed. This we have already discussed just now. Also, I've told you about this in the electron transport chain. That the inner mitochondrial membrane is highly convoluted to increase the surface area. If the surface area is more, so many different reactions can occur in the inner mitochondrial membrane. Since many of the chemical reactions happens on the inner membrane, the increased surface area creates more space. Okay, so it creates more space for the reaction to occur. If you have more space to work, you can get more work done. Simple concept. So this is the mitochondria. You can see this is the outer membrane, and this yellow color line is the inner membrane. You can see how much it is convoluted. So much convolutions are there so that it can fit in a large surface area, and this blue color region inside is the matrix. And the special thing about mitochondria is it has its own DNA. It has its own DNA. Next is Golgi apparatus. Golgi apparatus is also called as Golgi bodies. These are called the cell's post office. So what does the post office basically do? They deliver the post to the different locations. To the respective locations, they deliver it. So that is what Golgi body also does in a cell. It delivers the materials within the cell to different locations where it is supposed to be, like to the target site. It is involved in the transportation of materials within the cell. The Golgi apparatus is the processing, packaging, and secreting organelle of the cell. So it processes, which means post-translational modification happens here, packaging happens here, for packaging of the proteins, like there is some kind of tags which is added to the protein that will tell the localization of that particular protein, and secretion also happens. So it is much more common in the glandular cells. Glandular cells are those which secretes, like for example your sweat gland or your oil glands, their secretion is there. So these secretion areas is filled with Golgi apparatus. The Golgi apparatus is a system of membranes. So it is a membranous system made of flattened sac-like structures called as cisternae. It has so many flattened sac-like structure, and that is called as cisternae. It works closely with the smooth endoplasmic reticulum to modify the proteins for export by the cell. We have already studied in the endoplasmic reticulum that whatever product is made by the rough endoplasmic reticulum will be transported to the Golgi apparatus through the smooth endoplasmic reticulum. So smooth endoplasmic reticulum acts like a transporter which picks up all the material from the rough endoplasmic reticulum and like sends it to the Golgi apparatus. It is located in the cytoplasm next to the endoplasmic reticulum and near to the nucleus. So the Golgi is made up of approximately 4 to 8 cisternae. We know the cisternae are nothing but the flattened slack-like structures. I will show you the picture and explain you what cisternae is. But for now, you know that A cell can have approximately 4 to 8 cisternae. The cisternae are held together by matrix protein. So these cisternae are held together by matrix protein, that is nothing but microtubules. The apparatus has three main compartments. You have a cis compartment, you have a medial compartment, and you have a trans compartment. The cis is closer to the endoplasmic reticulum, medial is the middle one, and the trans, it is present closer to the plasma membrane. Okay, so cis, which is closer to the endoplasmic reticulum, medial, which is present in the middle region, and trans, which is closer to the plasma membrane. Two networks, the cis-Golgi network and the trans-Golgi network, these are responsible for the protein sorting and lipid sorting. What is the meaning of sorting? I've already told you this in endoplasmic reticulum. Sorting means you're going to, if, for example, if you're sorting your shelf, then you will keep your clothes in one area, you'll keep your books in another area, you'll keep your pens in one area. So, based on the location, Based on the location, the proteins and lipids will be tagged. A localization tag will be fixed to the protein, and with the help of these localization tag, the particular protein will be sorted to its respective location. Okay, that is what they are saying as protein sorting. So this will be received at the cis phase and it will be released at the trans phase. This is the structure of a Golgi apparatus. You can see these are membranous, flattened slack-like structures. You have cis phase here, which is closer to the endoplasmic reticulum, and the incoming compounds come in the form of a vesicle. Then you have so many different types of cisternae, the median, and finally the trans phase. The trans phase is closer to the plasma membrane, where whatever molecule has to be secreted comes out in a secretory vesicle. Next we are going to talk about is ribosomes. Ribosomes are the cell structure that makes the protein. We know ribosomes makes protein. Protein is required for several functions in our body like repairing damage, directing chemical processes in cell signaling. They are useful. They are actually useful in our cell division. Everywhere they are useful. Proteins are the building blocks of life. It is called like that because it is useful in all the fundamental life processes. Okay, so ribosomes can be found floating within the cytoplasm or attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. It means that the ribosomes are of two types. One is that it is free ribosome, which will be present in the cytoplasm. The other is bound ribosome that will be attached to the endoplasmic reticulum. The bound ribosome will be attached to the endoplasmic reticulum, and these two have their own functions. So based on the location, like where this ribosome is present in a cell, its function is different. Like what kind of protein it makes is different. For example, if the ribosome is present freely in the cell, it will make proteins that will be utilized within the cell itself. It will be making the proteins that will be utilized within the cell itself. But if it is bound to the endoplasmic reticulum and that makes a protein that will be exported out of the cell. Okay, so you have to remember this difference. These are some of the minute differences they will ask you in the exam. Okay, so GATE exam will ask these questions. So have this in mind. The difference between the free and the bound ribosome. Okay. So ribosome is a complex of RNA and protein, and that is what we call it as ribonucleoprotein. It has two subunits. One is the smaller subunit and the other one is the larger subunit. Okay, the smaller subunit is the one where the mRNA will come and bind, and to the larger subunit, one by one tRNA will bring the amino acid and it will create a long chain of peptides. So after this protein formation, it will be folded respectively for its own shape and function, and only then it will gain its biological activity if it's folded to its tertiary form, 3D structure. Prokaryotic have 70S ribosomes while eukaryotes has 80S ribosomes. So it assembles amino acids to form protein that is essential for carrying out the cellular functions. So now we are going to discuss some of the function of ribosomes. They assemble amino acids to form specific proteins. Proteins are essential to carry out cellular activities. The process of production of proteins, the deoxyribonucleic acid produce mRNA by the process of DNA transcription. The wordings here may be a little bit confusing, but what they are saying is they are talking about the central dogma of molecular biology. That is, whatever information which is present, that is in the form of DNA, that will be transcribed to mRNA. The information from DNA is transcribed to mRNA, and the mRNA translates the information of the DNA to the protein. Okay, so that is what they have said, DNA to mRNA, mRNA to protein. So the genetic message from the mRNA is translated into proteins during DNA translation. Okay. So the sequence of protein assembly during the protein synthesis are specified in mRNA, right? Which amino acid has to come in the sequence will be specified in the mRNA, and that information comes from the DNA. That information is really important because what protein it will make and what will be its function is determined by the sequence in the mRNA, and that information comes from the DNA. The mRNA synthesis in the nucleus, and it is transported to the cytosol or the cytoplasm for the function like protein synthesis. In the cytoplasm, the two subunits of ribosomes. Okay, so two subunits of ribosomes are bound around by the polymers of mRNA. So mRNA, what it will do is it will be bound to the lower subunit on top of which the larger subunit will be binding. Proteins are then synthesized with the help of tRNA. tRNA one by one will bring the amino acids and it will elongate the peptide. All of these we will study in molecular biology in detail. Don't worry about it. I'm just telling you like what is the function now, but how does it happen? We'll study all of this in the molecular biology. The proteins that are synthesized by the ribosomes present in the cytoplasm are used in the cytoplasm itself. So the proteins that will be synthesized by the ribosomes which is present in the cytoplasm, which means the free ribosomes. The free ribosomes will be producing protein. Those proteins will be utilized in the cytoplasm itself, which means it will not go out of the cell. The proteins that is produced by the bound ribosome. The bound ribosome means the ribosome which is bound to the endoplasmic reticulum, rough ER, that will be transported outside of the cell. Okay. So you can see this is the smaller subunit where the mRNA will come and bind. So you can see here mRNA binding site. It will have A site, P site and E site. This is the large subunit. And now to this sites our tRNA will come and bind, and it will bring the amino acid with itself, and the elongation of the protein will happen. Next organelle we are going to talk about is lysosomes. So lysosomes are acidic membrane bound organelles. Okay, so they are acidic membrane bound organelles. Why they are called acidic? Because inside the lysosome there is so much acidic pH, which means the pH is very low, found within the cells, usually around 1 micrometer in length. Lysosomes contains numerous hydrolytic enzymes. Hydrolytic enzymes means breaking down enzyme. The enzyme breaks down the molecules using the hydrolysis reaction, which means water is involved in that. The membrane surrounding the lysosome is vital to ensure that these enzymes do not leak out into the cytoplasm, because since it is hydrolytic in nature, if it is leaking out of this organelle into the cytoplasm, it will damage the cell organelles surrounding it, and finally it will damage the cell itself. In order to maintain the acidic pH of the lysosome, the protons will be pumped into the lysosome across the lysosomal membrane. So this is the lysosome structure. You can see this is the membrane of the lysosome, which is different from the others, and this is the lipid layer which is present, and these are the hydrolytic enzymes which are useful in breaking down molecules with the help of water molecule. So the membrane contains highly glycosylated lysosomal associated membrane proteins, which is called as LAMP. Lysosomal associated membrane proteins and lysosomal integral membrane proteins, LIMP. LAMP and LIMP proteins are present in the lysosome membrane. So what these function happens is the lamp and limb, these form a coat on the inner surface of the membrane. So these will be present in the inner surface of the membrane. They protect the membrane. Okay, so they basically protect the membrane by the attack of the hydrolytic enzymes which is retained inside. These are hydrolytic enzymes, so they will break down the molecules. So there is a risk that they will break down the membrane within which they are contained also. In order to protect that membrane, lamp and limb proteins are required. So you have to remember lamp and limb. If you are taking notes, just note it down. It is very important because they might ask you what is lamp and what is limb and its function. You have to know this. Its function is very simple. It is present in the inner surface of the membrane because it will protect the membrane from the hydrolytic enzyme which is retained within the cell. The lysosomal membrane has a hydrogen proton pump which is responsible for maintaining pH conditions of the enzyme. The acidic medium maintained by the proton pump that pumps H plus inside the lumen ensures the functional of the lysosome enzymes. Okay, so this is very simple. Next is proteases. Proteases, these are some of the enzymes which are present in the lysosome. So proteases, what they do is they digest the proteins, lipases digest the lipids, amylases digest the carbohydrates, nucleases digest the nucleic acids, and phosphoric acid monoesters. So these are some of the enzymes which is present in the lysosome. These are called as hydrolytic enzymes. Next is the function. The function we have already discussed, but in this we are going to see a little bit in detail. The hydrolytic enzyme contained within the lysosome allow the foreign particle to be destroyed. So whatever foreign particle is present, that will be destroyed in this hydrolytic enzyme. So lysosomes play an important role in phagocytosis. Okay, so it plays an important role in phagocytosis. When macrophages phagocytose foreign particles, they contain them within the phagosome. This phagosome fuses with the lysosome to form the phagolysosome complex. And this complex, since lysosome is present and it has hydrolytic enzymes that will degrade the foreign particle. These enzymes are critical in oxygen independent killing mechanisms. Lysosomes are also help in defend against pathogen entry via endocytosis by degrading pathogens before they reach the cytoplasm. Okay. Next, we are going to talk about is cytoskeleton. Very important concept. You just have to know. It is very simple concept also. Just as your body depends on your skeleton to maintain its shape and size, your cell also needs structure to maintain its shape and size. Can you understand? See, it is very simple. Okay, it is not a difficult concept at all. Like your body requires skeleton to maintain its shape and size. Similarly, your cell will require some kind of skeleton to maintain its shape and size. That is nothing but your cytoskeleton. In animal cell which have no cell wall at all, the internal framework we call it as cytoskeleton that will only maintain the shape of the cell and help in its movement. So the cytoskeleton consists of two structures. One is microfilaments, contractile. They are made of actin and common in motile cells. Next is microtubules. They are rigid hollow tubes made of tubulins. I think you're able to hear some of the sounds behind because it's actually crackers. They're bursting here. I am actually recording this video on Diwali for you guys so that it reaches you on time. I'm actually doing this on Diwali. That is why, excuse this noise. It is coming in between. Okay. So microtubules have three basic functions. Okay, so the microtubules have three basic functions. So the one is to maintain the shape of the cell. Okay, so it maintains the shape of the cell to serve as tracks for organelles to move along within the cell. They form the centrioles. So these are the functions of microtubules. Next is the cytoskeleton is a structure that helps cells to maintain their shape, internal organization, and is also providing mechanical support that enables cell to carry out essential functions like division and movement. Next, we are going to talk about is different cytoskeletons. The one is microfilament. So microfilaments are also called as actin filaments. Remember, microfilaments, actin filaments, same thing. They are composed of protein actin. So two strands of actin will be there. They can wound around with each other, and that's how they function. They are about 7 nanometers thick, making them the thinnest filament in the cytoskeleton. They are the thinnest filament. Microfilaments have many functions. They aid in cytokinesis. So cytokinesis is the reaction where the division of the cytoplasm happens after the division of nucleus and splits into two daughter cells in the cell division process. So that is what our cytokinesis does, and their microfilaments are useful. They aid in the cell motility and allow single-celled organism like amoebas to move. Okay, they are also involved in cytoplasmic streaming. What is the meaning of that? Which is the flowing of cytosol through the cell, throughout the cell. Like the liquid part of the cytoplasm is there, no, that is what we call it as cytosol. Its flow is also maintained by this. Cytoplasmic streaming transports nutrients in cell organelles. Microfilaments are also part of muscle cells. They help in the muscle contraction along with myosin. Actin and myosin are two components that are involved in the muscle contraction. Okay. Next is intermediate filaments. So intermediate filaments are the middle one, which is about 8 to 12 nanometer in width. They are called intermediate because they are in between the size of the microfilaments and microtubules. Okay. Based on its size, it's called as intermediary filaments. Intermediate filaments are made of different proteins like keratin, which is found in your hair and nails, and also in the scales, horns, like vimentin, desmin, lamin, like that. All intermediate filaments are found in the cytoplasm except for lamins, which are found in the nucleus and help support the nuclear envelope that surrounds the nucleus. The intermediate filaments, okay, it is present in the cytoplasm, maintains the cell shape, it bears the tension and provides the structural support to the cell. I hope you can understand about the intermediary filaments. It is named because it is the size of this is between the actin filaments or microfilaments and the microtubules, and they help in the cell's shape, tension and structural support. Next is microtubules. Microtubules are the largest of the skeleton's fiber and it is about 23 nanometer. Okay, so they are hollow tubes and that is made up of alpha and beta tubulin. They are also found in structures like cilia, okay, so which are appendages that increases the cell surface area and in some cases allows the cell for movement. Okay, most of the microtubules in animal cell come from a cell organelle from the centrosomes. So centrosome is the organelle that will produce microtubules, and there is a microtubule organizing center within the centrosome. Okay, centrosome is also called as microtubule organizing center. The centrosome is found near the middle of the cell and the microtubules radiate outwards from it, and this is helpful in the spindle formation during the mitosis. Okay, so mitosis happens where the chromatid, sister chromatid has to be separated from each other, and for that purpose our spindle fibers will be used, and that is produced by our microtubules. So you can see this is the structure of a skeleton, cytoskeleton. These are the microfilaments, these are the microtubules, okay, and these are the intermediary filaments. This is how they are present in our cell. Okay, I hope you enjoyed the class of cell organelles and its function. Comment down below about your experience. Like, share and subscribe to our YouTube channel Guru Mantra, and keep learning. Happy learning. Thank you so much and take care guys.